Hey guys, quick bulletin. This is June 6th, 2024. And what was yesterday? It was June 5th, 2025. Um, what was yesterday? It was June 5th, 2025. What was June 5th, 2025? It was the anniversary of the assassination of Robert F. Kennedy Sr. Guess who the only news outlet that I can find, I might have missed one, but I looked hard and I went to Google News and I looked at all the million dollar podcasters. Um, Guess who the only news outlet was that did any kind of coverage to commemorate the anniversary of his assassination? Yeah, brass check. You got the email probably. Um, I don't get it, guys. I really don't get it. I will say this. We are often over the target. For those of you that are new to brass check, we started in 1997, so there's a lot of catching up to do. We were the first news outlet to cover the details and the mechanics and the reality of election fraud in the United States. No one was earlier, and no one has done it better. And we continue to be ignored. We expect the mainstream news media to ignore it, but the million dollar podcasters, I mean, my God, they've got UFOs on there. They got, who shined Jack Ruby's shoes the day before he killed Oswald. They got everything on there, unless it has some substance. Um, we were also, this is historical fact, one of three people on September 11th, 2011, after the towers fell, that said, no way, no how was this anything but a controlled demolition and a government operation. And our logic, and by the way, we were attacked by everybody. Now it's very popular, but you can't believe the vitriol I received from friends. Um, it's obvious now, but the other two people who went on the record that day, one was the head or the former head of was it Soviet or Russian? Anyway, Russian air defense, and he said you can't fly planes all over the United States without somebody interfering with them, like within 2 seconds. So he said it, and then a professor at the University of Mining, is that what it's called? I don't know. It's in New Mexico. It's like the place you go if you want to learn how to do mining and demolition and use explosives. And he said categorically, this is ridiculous. Obviously, it's a controlled demolition. By the way, he walked back that statement and got a very lucrative job with the federal government. Look it up. Very few people have, but I did. So that's the kind of stuff we do. We're very, we were the first really to take after Fauci, and we did as much as anybody on this planet to take him down. And briefly, for a brief shining moment, we had the alliance of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. To get that done. And if you don't know that story, yeah, I'm in the book many times, footnoted 24 times. And I was also the actual real marketing director behind that effort. So we're often over the target, and we're over the target on this one. Robert F. Kennedy Sr. It was the anniversary of his assassination yesterday, and you probably didn't hear a peep about it from anyone but Brass Check. Now, how crazy is that? Let's look at some facts. His son is a high-profile dude, right? You can't say Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is an obscure guy anymore. He used to be before the real Anthony Fauci. Not anymore. How do you not mention the assassination of the father of a high-profile person on the anniversary of his death? How do you do that? I mean, that takes hard work. That's not something that happens by itself. And by the way, not just the mainstream media, the million-dollar podcasters too. They all know. They all knew what yesterday was. They all sat on their hands. I I don't know what's going on, guys. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how you missed that. What else is important? What else would have thrust that story into the top, at least of the million dollar podcasters? Don't they need content? Is everything going to be UFOs and all kinds of bullshit? I mean, we've done a lot of shows on the reality of UFOs. Uh, yeah, you just look them up. But you know what? Maybe that's not the most pertinent thing at this moment. What else is really weird? Well, what's been the theme among the million dollar podcasters for the last, I don't know, half year? The files, the assassination files, the Kennedy, the RFK, the JFK, the RFK, the MLK. It's all coming out. Yeah. So when you have the anniversary of one of those three guys' deaths, you ignore it? And here's the key, guys. Here's the key. Um, in that era, and you can verify this yourself with your own research. And by the way, you got to research. You can't just like do a Google and write me and say, "Oh, I didn't find it on the internet." No, that's not research, guys. You got to actually read books. I know this is a hard concept. You got to read a lot of books. But if you do the deep dive, you will find out that during the JFK administration, RFK was publicly considered the co-president, and at a minimum, the second most important man in the world. He wasn't just JFK's brother. They were partners. RFK ran JFK's presidential campaign. He invented modern presidential campaigning. Okay? JFK obviously made him the attorney general, unprecedented in the history of the United States, and they got a lot of flack for it. And why did JFK put RFK in there as attorney general? Because JFK was fighting the deep state of his time. And the only guy he could trust was his brother. And his brother was an attack dog. He went after the mob. You probably know this history. The Million Dollar Podcasters will let this out of the bag. He went way after the organized crime. And they were also after the CIA. And they were also in very heated discussions with the state of Israel. And that is the third piece of the puzzle. And that you will never hear in the mainstream news media, of course. And you'll never hear it, I guess, I mean, because they're doing their best to ignore me. I reach out almost daily. I mean, I have thick skin and I just keep going. And it's why I'm writing books, because if I don't write books, no one's ever going to know this stuff. But there are close connections between elements, we'll call them, not elements, leadership of the CIA and Israel. And the RFK assassination was to be successful in life, you have to make every action you take have multiple functions. Okay? So the RFK assassination had many functions. One of them was to smear the Palestinian people. And if you really understand that assassination, that RFK assassination, you're like, oh, yeah, of course. Why didn't I think of that? Well, we trace this very deeply and very precisely, like no one ever has before, in our new book, JFK and RFK's Secret Battle Against Zionist Extremism. Okay? You would think, this is like another crazy thing, you would think that Gaza being on the top of everyone's mind, especially some of the million dollar podcasters, and the Kennedys always being on the top of everybody's mind, that some of them might want to hear the actual history. This is history, guys. This is the cables. This is the telegrams. This is the letters. Most of them were classified until, 5, 10 years ago. It's all documented. There was a battle going on between the Kennedys and Israel, between the Kennedys and organized crime. That's known. Between the Kennedys and the CIA. That's known. What's not known is the battle between the Kennedys and Israel. And if you want to understand why the Kennedys died, you have to link the three together. CIA, organized crime, and Israel. They did business together all the time. They were in bed with each other. They had similar aims. And I'm not saying Israel did it, but I'm saying Israel and Israel's friends in the United States had their fingerprints all over it. Why, guys? Why at this time, when RFK Jr. is like super popular, when everybody wants to know about the files, when there's a genocide going on in Gaza, Why? Tell me why. Any self-respecting million-dollar podcaster would not want to give this attention, but none of them do. I've been on a few shows. I can't say I haven't been on any. And they've been on excellent shows. They're excellent people. But the people that could really help and really move the needle, not for me. I got other things to do, just like you. But it really irks me that this fundamental fact of human history is being obscured. And I just have to say, the million-dollar podcasters are helping. So that's what I have to say about this. Get the book, support the book if you would. Write your favorite million-dollar podcaster. Ask them when, if ever, they're going to get it out of their you-know-what and start paying attention to American history. Not conspiracy theories, not speculation. Who pulled the trigger? Was he a man on the grassy knoll? Was, Oswald really a triple agent? Forget all that. That's a sideshow, deliberate sideshow. It's a clown show. And I know that brass check people are way beyond that. But the average public, if you don't educate people, then how are they going to know? So thanks for everything. By the way, we have people that watch the show. Great. I love it. Talk it up, right? We have people that support the show financially. And, as I mentioned a couple of times now, I'm writing a book. It's a hard book. And I am very grateful for your indulgence in that I'm not putting out new content all the time. Because books, you can't write a book and do you don't see the million-dollar podcasters writing books, do you? With their staffs and all that they have, all the research they have. You don't see that. There's a reason for it. It's really hard. I used to do it, and I can't do it anymore. I got to do one thing at a time at this point. But anyway, support the book if you would. Let your favorite million-dollar podcaster know that it exists. Tell them you'd like to know the real American history, and not this is a psyop. By the way, there's two ways to do a psyop. One is you take some story and you pump it out there, right? And we see these guys, they appear out of nowhere, and they're on every freaking podcast in the world overnight, spouting nonsense. Okay? The other way you run psyops is you make sure the stuff that matters never, ever, ever comes out. So this has been Brass Check. Thanks for your support, those of you who support us. And knock on the door of your favorite million-dollar podcaster and ask them to get their heads out of their asses.
Brass Check TV, free to you, not free to us. We've got a server bill, we've got an email software bill, we've got a tech helper bill, and that happens every month. So to everybody that is supporting us financially, that's paying for their subscription in one way or another, we really appreciate it. If you're not, consider doing so. Everybody's got money for the newspaper and the cable bill and all that. Do you have money for media that's actually serving you? That's really the issue here. And when you help us, it allows us to get this information out to the world. So thanks to all our supporters, and if you're not a supporter already, please consider becoming one.